wearing sunglasses. They're wearing excessive makeup, and by makeup I don't mean over-the-counter, typical makeup you'd find at a pharmacy or at the mall. I'm talking silicone prosthetics that they wear to absolutely change the way they look. This prosthesis isn't being worn because they have a disability. This prosthesis isn't being worn because they have some deformity that makes them look odd, or some sort of disfigurement that they're trying to correct for. They wear these disguises and these pounds of silicone and pounds of latex and pounds of other compound materials to create a realistic disguise while also taking away from how they actually look. This involves individuals like Layla. This involves individuals like her IT guy boyfriend who tried to coerce me and get me to change my story about how it is that Layla and her buddies from Clearlink have been stalking me. They tried to get me to change the narrative, the realistic one and the honest truth. That is that if Anthony Renteria from Clearlink, a sales director over there, if he was to help some big heads down at Washington, D.C. To human traffic me and attempt to get me a Yankee White security clearance, only for them to attempt to claw back the security clearance compensation, which is very exhaustive because that's a very exhaustive security clearance. It costs a lot of money, takes a lot of work, and a lot of damages are caused. And they just wanted to issue that security clearance for a profit, and the only way they could profit is if they effectively enslaved me, put me under some sort of conservatorship and clawed back the money, or forced me to marry into their families, just like Frank Eckert did, the owner of Kaiser Permanente, a company he so brags about and uses to his advantage so as to force people to interact with people he loves and wants to have a lot of money for, such as his daughters. Now Anthony Renteria was given a deal from these guys down at Washington, D.C. and over at the Pentagon, these guys that work for the Secret Service, these guys that work for the Central Intelligence Agency. And the deal that he was given was, if you go ahead and process Mo, if you go ahead and ruin his career, if you go ahead and start setting him up for failure from right now and make him out to be incompetent, or make him out to be a bad employee, or make him out to be insolent, or make him out to be insubordinate, so that you can establish a record that we're going to further establish of him not being able to keep a job, then we're going to go ahead and give you an opportunity to work for the President of the United States and his little circle of security clearance processing for Yankee Whites. You get to work for the Secret Service, you get to have your own private company, and you get to make a shit ton of money because we shovel it right out of the Treasury, because it's for a secret budget for the Secret Service that not many people get to hear about or know about. And the security clearances are very expensive because they're very exhaustive and very important for national security. And so when you have your own private company that issues these security clearances, you're going to make a fuck ton of money. All we want you to do is fuck Mo over at this job. And that's exactly what he did. Days after being promoted to sales director, just a couple weeks after they got caught sending me home with a laptop that they used to spy on me, Justin Main himself, my manager, and a guy that would stalk me around when I was in downtown Scottsdale, he would follow me around and just pose there just to see if I would recognize him without his mask on. And he also goes by Justin Payne. But anyways, he would stand around, that guy that was spying on me through my laptop, and would make fun of my sex life and would insult me for, daring to live in my own home and, act within my own privacy. These guys, just weeks later, would fire me, and not long after, they were able to get rid of me and shake me off and establish this record within their security clearance committees that established this record that I wasn't keeping the jobs that they themselves would squeeze me into and force me into, including housing. They would also control my housing too. These people were literally human trafficking me and taking advantage of their military powers to force my life left and right, so as to make me live in a way that was conducive to their embezzlement effort of security clearance compensation, in a way that was conducive to their human trafficking of me. Now, not long after that, all of a sudden, Anthony Renteria runs his own company that he called One, as in Air Force One. He uses a reference to that, and he was given that company and that opportunity because he fucked me over. And the people complicit in that are folks like Joseph Biden. The people complicit in that are people like Dallin Graff. The people that are complicit in that are people like Jordan, Dallin and Anthony's boss, Jordan Belfort. All of these folks went out of their way to absolutely fuck me over. They went out of their way to spy on me with devices that I would win in raffles at work, and they would admit that they were spying on me, and they used all of this to go ahead and set me up for failure when the war game exercise was to come, when my issuance and investigation for the security clearance was to come. Very similarly, Saif Abdullah went about the same path. He set me up for failure. He would give me jobs, he would screw me over, etc., etc. He would make me work for his retarded subordinate, Saif ul Haq. He would make me live with him, change his diapers, etc. And only for that guy to say, well, yeah, you know, I'm a general, and I'm going to try to ruin your life. He would point loaded firearms at me. A lady from Clearlink, her name is Layla. I think I mentioned her in the earlier video. She has been following me around at NAU campus, and she has been trying to ruin my life because she is involved in the scheme that winds from within the civilian world, the issuance of security clearances and investigations in the civilian world, to the Secret Service and to the military. She ties them all together because she herself has been stalking me the same way that Jasmine Barkas has, the same way that Saif Abdullah has, and the same way that Saif ul Haq has. I have photographs of Saif ul Haq and Jasmine Barkas interacting, in fact. So all of these folks have been working towards ruining my life for a profit. They have been incentivized and given opportunities because of their efforts by their higher-ups and by the associates of their higher-ups. And so this entire scheme is an embezzlement operation, and there's no other way to label it. There's no way to clear the name of the president from it. There's no way to put some sort of dark Brandon cool spin on it. The fact of the matter is, he would treat me like absolute shit, and when he realized he was on the wrong end of the bargain, the wrong end of the deal, and he wasn't coming out of this a winner, now he's pretending to be all buddy-buddy with me. Now he's pretending to be all friendly with me, and that has been a common theme for a lot of these folks. Saif ul Haq, he lost a lot of money, he lost a lot of property and things to me in restitution, and now he's all of a sudden trying to act buddy-buddy. He's like, oh, look, I stopped being Muslim, I'm atheist now, as if his religious, as if his religion was some sort of issue that I had with him. He said, oh, please fuck my wife, fuck my sister, fuck my mother, literally, and he would offer them up and send me nude photographs of them wearing nothing but tape on their genitalia and their privates. He would send me these photos of them, and he would offer them up to me. To be honest, they're pretty mid, but it's no big deal. What the point that I'm trying to get to is that's the kind of conduct and behavior that these folks have. It doesn't matter their rank, it doesn't matter their stature, it doesn't matter what political position they have. What they're out to do is ruin my life and do it in any way possible, whether it be sexual assaults, rapes, attempts at my life. All of these folks have been involved and working together in a coordinated effort to do these kinds of things. Joe Biden pretends he's working against Donald Trump, but in reality, these guys are buddy-buddy, and they're working together, and at the end of the day, they're both willing to take a cut of each other's deal as long as they both come out on top. And so these folks have been interacting together, they have been meeting together during the process of my so-called investigation, but it isn't really an investigation. It's been some 10-odd years now, and what these folks really want to do is just rob me of my finances. They're no longer investigating. What they do is they're trying to sabotage my life, interfere with my ability to live a happy, productive life, They do this by robbing me. They do this by assaulting me. They do this by setting me up for failure. They do this by inserting their own friends and family members as ladies that I bump into so as to try to seduce me and falsify some sort of form of marriage. And these, of course, are the daughters of the generals and the colonels because they want to tap into the billions of dollars before everybody else does. For example, Lilia Bernanke, who comes from the Polish intelligence agency, has been trying to force a marriage with me, force a relationship with me, yada yada. As it turns out, there was no election process for her to see if she was the most qualified person to represent her community or the most beautiful person to try to go about the seduction. Instead, it was just her family members putting her up there and giving her that position, this prestigious position of attempting to be a saboteur, which she absolutely failed. So in the parts where this is a military training exercise, it's not fair to anybody else, and it's an absolute just a cash grab by these big shots. So much so that they have been fixing this boxing match against me. They were not supposed to be spying on me through my electronic devices or through my equipment long ago. And what they do is when I get enough footage and I upload it online, they try to ruin my devices before I can upload the footage. And that, in fact, has been the case pretty recently. And that's something that they have consistently done to try to interfere with my ability to report them for their behavior. And so I think that's important to record. I think that's important to note. I think it's important to note that the people that they try to put in the house to represent me are, in fact, individuals that they are related to or individuals that they are best buddies with. So the very same people that are investigating me for my security clearance are also the people that are involved in this robbery scheme to try to undermine me, to try to force me into a conservatorship, to try to force me into mental hospitals. When I report them for the stalking and even have documentation of it and even have restraining orders, these folks that work at these institutions that are operated by these individuals who are running the security clearance program, those individuals immediately try to refer me to mental health services to try to get me institutionalized in a mental facility, rather than saying, oh, well, let's look at that restraining order. That's really bad that's happening on our campus. What they'll immediately jump to is suggesting mental health services to claim that such and such individual must be delusional because they claim that somebody's stalking them. They have no intent to look at the evidence. As a matter of fact, they try to skirt around that as much as possible because they're steering the narrative towards the outcome that they want. And the outcome that they want is to put somebody under a conservatorship. So after, falsifying a narrative that they're mentally unwell, so as to go ahead and have guardianship of them and their finances and go ahead and siphon off the finances. So this security clearance is effectively ready to be issued and to be adjudicated. They very much have investigated me, and they have investigated me for so long, and they have put the investigation off over and over and over via means such as Anthony Renteria's firing of me intentionally. So this is a coordinated effort. It's a scheme, and it's for profit, and it's being done by the people that are insiders of our government, right? And so, the very people who are benefiting are the very people who insult the system and drag out the length of time that it takes to get a security clearance so that they can increase the funds owed because of the damages that are owed over that longer period of time where more damages can occur, damages that they incur onto me intentionally. And I think that's a very important facet of this entire issue, and I think it should be taken into consideration that when I have retarded bitches like Layla following me around with their pig faces and their shitty ex-boyfriends who only talk shit about them and let me know that, oh, Layla's just a pig-faced bitch and all she does is think that she's some sort of celebrity when in fact she has the figure of, some sort of feral pig. It's like somebody like that who interacts with their spouse like that, their significant other. All of a sudden, they're both in my life, stalking me around campus. We're talking Garrett Myers is stalking me. We're talking Layla is stalking me. We're talking Layla's fiance, who they just brag about having bought a house together. All those folks are stalking me, and they are very much associated with these organizations. They very much pigeonholed me into living with these individuals, because that's part of the security clearance program, is having people live with you and live among you, and truly try to get to know you in all sorts of ways, which, you know, living with someone is one type of way to get to know them, right? And so that's part of the process. But these people have been abusing that to try to set me up for failure. I think it's really important that everybody knows this, because these folks over in Scottsdale, these folks over at NAU, these folks at the Flagstaff Police Department, these folks over at the local NAU Police Department are very much corrupt. So much so, in fact, that even when I go to get a restraining order at the courthouse, the people that show up and act as the judges in the courthouse are commanders that I know from my former military unit, or individuals who were investigating me for my security clearance. They go ahead and act as the judges, and they deny me my security clearance against individuals that they know personally. And so if that doesn't spell out absolute corruption, I don't know what does. But a lot of these people have been threatening my life. A lot of these people have been assaulting me. A lot of these people have been sending their police friends to my windows in the middle of the night to claim that they're investigating something and that their intentions are completely innocent. But they're not, you know. I refuse to date Jasmine Barkus. I refuse to be friendly with her brother. I refuse to be friendly with her father. And so her father goes ahead and follows me around with his police car and tries to pull me over. They follow me over to where I live, and they set up police cars just waiting to jump out and get me. And I have to take alternate routes to try to avoid them completely. And that has been a recurring theme. And that tells you all you need to know about these people. Is they're a mafia-style bullies. They're headed by dipshits like Joseph Biden, who just absolutely abuse their power of being president. Rather than make the world a better place, rather than make the country a better place, he's just trying to get reelected by winning this popularity contest of embezzling a fuck ton of money and then making it rain to the citizens of America. Totally a Joker from Batman, a Joker style way to try to win popularity. And that shows you how much of a literal clown show these fucking politicians are. You have politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene, aka Marjorie Taylor Blowjob Machine, her mother, her husband, Saif ul-Haq, who I've had a restraining order against, the same general that I had to live with, the guy that wears diapers. I had to get restraining order against him. His sister's in my Spanish class all of a sudden. What a huge coincidence, right? Jasmine Barkus is my instructor of that Spanish class. What a huge coincidence. Saif ul-Haq's wife slash fiance, the mother of his children, she's also in my Spanish class. All of these folks are hitting on me really hard, trying to force a date, trying to force a relationship, giving me bad grades if I don't toe the line that they want me to toe, if I don't go along with the story that they want me to go along with. Folks that are associated with Kaiser Permanente and admit that Frank Eckert is a relative or good friend. Those kinds of folks who would go out of their way to, give me a false idea of what my expectations for a test would be. For example, telling me that it's open book in person when it ends up not being open book, only for me to not do well on the exam and for them to say, well, that's what you get if you don't marry into the Kaiser Permanente family. We're very powerful people. That's the kind of abuses that I'm dealing with here at NAU campus. And these guys have super fucking deep pockets, and that's what they use to get their way. And the ul-Haq family is so shocked that I don't give a shit about their super deep pockets, that I don't give a shit about them throwing their pussy and their tits at me. They're so shocked that their son isn't just going to be able to get to rip me off out of nicety or out of some sort of fucking friendship. And the truth is, I'm just not friends with that guy. I'm not friends with that guy. I'm not friends with his wife. I'm not friends with his sister. I'm not friends with his mother. But all of these folks are suddenly at NAU campus, and they're interfering with my life. Saif ul-Haq's whore mother, the alcoholic that gave him fetal alcohol syndrome, which he's now clinically retarded from, she is acting as some sort of dorm room administrator, and so she breaks into my dorm and acts like she has a need to be there. They tried to force an eviction when I had already long moved out. They gave me phone calls and they're like, "You're refusing to move out, we're gonna have to evict you." And they didn't even know what room number I was staying in at my old dorm, which I had moved out from, you know, long since. And so these people are trying to change the narrative because they wanted to claim that I was a squatter in that home. Why were they claiming that I was a squatter in that home? Because these fucking dipshits had me get a restraining order against them, in which the judge granted me exclusive living rights to the home. Because I was granted exclusive living rights to the home, I was not a squatter. That means the judge literally told the guy, "Hey, pack your bags, you fucking bum. Get out of the house. You are a danger to this guy's life. Do not possess weapons." And so that's the kind of restraining order